Hey guys, Mr. Catlin here to help you out with assembling your lantern. If you're having trouble, if you haven't learned much about assemblies or fasteners, this is just a quick startup of how you're going to piece some of these things together. All right, and I'm only going to do a couple of pieces because I don't want to make this a crazy long video. I think you can figure it out after we do a couple. So at this point, you have created all the pieces of your lantern. They're laid out in Part Studio, and we are going to assemble them like this in an assembly so you can make sure that everything fits, your seams are clean, you don't have any gaps. You're looking for those types of things. If you have gaps, then we need to go back to your sketches, fix some things, maybe change some dimensions, and make sure that when we print this thing out, it's going to piece together and not be something that falls apart. All right. So let's go back to our part studio. Just make sure you have all your parts created. And then you are going to go to assembly one or create a new assembly. From here, you can label this whatever you want. You can call it lantern. I'm just going to leave mine assembly two just for simplicity purposes. So once you're in your assembly, you should have a blank origin point. We're going to insert our parts from the part studio. All right. So you can insert them one at a time. You could insert all of them. I'm going to do this first. And as long as I don't click in my workspace where that just popped up and I just slide up here to the green check mark, that should bring that piece in exactly where it was before. And looking at it from the top view, it should be the same orientation as when I drew it. And so I like to bring in this bottom piece first. And once it's brought in, I like to right click and fix it. That way it doesn't move whenever I start attaching things to it. It stays kind of in its proper orientation, front view, isometric, top, and all of the things that we know about OnShape, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to bring all these other pieces in, either one at a time. You can bring them all in, however you want to do it, and we're going to connect them to this. So here we go. We're going to insert. Let's do our custom side. All right, so we're going to bring that in. You can kind of put that anywhere you want. And for right now, we'll get that out of our way. We'll just do one thing at a time. That way we're not overwhelmed with all the pieces and all the parts. And so what I want to do is I want to take that peg that's designed for, and I want to shove it into one of these holes around the side. And at this point, it really doesn't matter which one, as long as the custom is opposite of the custom and the geometric side is opposite of the geometric side. And so to do that, we're going to use these things up here called fascinates. And the one that we don't want it to revolute or slide or any of that stuff. We just want it to kind of glue together. And that's going to be this first one right here. So we're going to click there. And then it's going to ask you, like, all right, where are your connectors? Where do you want to connect what pieces? And so we really want this to go into one of these holes. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So we're going to come and zoom in on this peg here. We want to kind of focus on center points because those are usually the ones that are easiest to grab. So I'm going to focus on this centroid here, the center of this rectangle, and we want to line that up with the exact position that we want it to be laying in when it's on this. Now that exact position is not going to be on this top panel. It's not going to be here. It's not going to be even. It's not even going to be here, right? Because it's going to sit through that and be on the bottom side. So what we want to do is we want to spin this thing around and we want to place it on the center of this. Now you'll notice if you try to get that center point, it is hard to make it happen. So here's a trick that's going to make your life so much easier. Put your mouse on the surface of the face that you want it to be flush with, which is right here, right? Hold your shift key down, which I'm doing, you can't see in the video, but I'm holding down the shift key on the keyboard, and then that point will stay where you can click on it. We want it to be there, right? Now you'll notice it clicked into position correctly in the right spot, but it needs to be spun and rotated around so it actually is where we want it to be. That's what all this information here is for. You can flip it, you can spin it, and make it be where you want it to be. This one doesn't need to flip on its primary axis. I believe we need to reorient its secondary, and that will spin it into the place that we want it to be. Once we like our connection, we can click here if we have more connections to make, or we can click here and be like, okay, we're done with that connection. We'll move on to the next one. There's all kinds of different options for moving on, but we're well on our way, right? So That's how you make connection, and you're going to do that with all of your pieces. So you're just going to go back, you're going to insert more things. I would do all of your sides first. Once you get all of your sides, like I will do my geometric side next, bring this in over here and put them away, make a make connector, zoom in on that centroid, zoom out. We know that we want it to be perpendicular to this one because it's different. It doesn't need to be opposite. It needs to be like on one of these sides. So I'm going to zoom in here, hold down the shift key, click there. And this one I don't have to spin because it actually lined it up properly. And then we'll just keep on moving on until all of your pieces are together in an assembly that look like this. One of the hardest things I think to connect on this one were the wedges, but play around with it. I think you can figure it out. If you get stuck on it, I'll come by and help you. But that's a basic tutorial on how to assemble things in OnShape once you have all the pieces made. Hope this was helpful. See you guys.